Good evening, everyone. My name is Thomas Ure, and I want to welcome everyone to the City of Morganton's Board of Land Use Adjustments. Before we get started, I'd please ask everyone to silence your cell phones if you have that with you. If you'd go ahead and check yours now and make sure that it's on silent. That way we don't have any disruptions during the proceedings tonight and disrupt the flow of the hearing. I do want to go ahead and call the meeting to order, and the first item that we'll take up tonight is the approval of last month's or last time we met's minutes that were recorded on our behalf. Those were published to the members of the board in advance of the hearing tonight. And if you feel so inclined as a board member, I would invite you to make a motion regarding approval of the minutes at this time. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion's been made to approve the minutes as written. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Motion's been seconded. Are there any questions or further discussion regarding the minutes? Hearing none, calling the question. All in favor of the minutes being recorded as written, transcribed, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, Madam Clerk, and the minutes are approved. Tonight, as the Board of Adjustment meets, we are going to take up and consider an application that includes 4 variances from the zoning ordinance for the City of Morganton. They involve several sections from the City of Morganton's zoning ordinance, and I'll just indicate that with regard to the 4 items for variance tonight, they involve section 4.8.3.A and section 4.8.6.9A. The second application invokes section 4.8.6.9.B. The third application invokes section 4.8.6.8.A. And then the fourth variance application invokes section 4.8.6.8.B. And the applicant, as I understand it, is, and I apologize if mispronouncing the name. Folks often will mispronounce my last name. So what I have in my record is Artie Sura. Okay, and with Morganton Lodgings LLC. Ms. Sura, are you here alone tonight? And you'll be the one presenting on behalf of the applicant, is that correct? All right. And so just for your information and for the audience, both in the room and online from the City of Morganton, I want everyone to be aware that the decision tonight for variances being approved requires a 4/5 approval by the board tonight. Said it a different way, 4 of the 5 board members must agree one way or the other to approve the variance consistent with North Carolina law. And so given the fact that I just mentioned North Carolina law, I thought it would be helpful to everyone, both in the room and online, to better understand what it is that the 5 individuals up here must decide when it comes to considering and deliberating on an application for a variance. This is right out of the statute in North Carolina. I'm not editorializing. I'm going to read to you exactly what the statute says. Here it is, section 160D-705, subparagraph D, variances. When unnecessary hardships would result from carrying out the strict letter of a zoning regulation, the Board of Adjustment shall vary any of the provisions of the zoning regulation upon a showing of all of the following. And here they are. Number 1, unnecessary hardship would result from the strict application of the regulation. It is not necessary to demonstrate that in the absence of the variance, no reasonable use can be made of the property. Number two, the hardship results from conditions that are peculiar to the property, such as location, size, or topography. Hardships resulting from personal circumstances, as well as hardships resulting from conditions that are common to the neighborhood or the general public, may not be the basis for granting a variance. Number three, the hardship did not result from actions taken by the applicant or the property owner. The act of purchasing property with knowledge that circumstances exist that may justify the granting of a variance is not a self-created hardship. And finally, number four, the requested variance is consistent with the spirit, purpose, and intent of the regulation such that public safety is secured and substantial justice is achieved. Before we move further in the hearing tonight, it's important for everyone, both in the room and online, to understand some important facts related to this meeting tonight. This Board of Adjustment meeting is known as a quasi-judicial proceeding, which means it functions much like a court proceeding in which one's individual rights are being determined. Testimony will be limited to only those issues concerning whether the application should be approved. The legal purpose of this quasi-judicial hearing is not to gather public opinions and suggestions as to the policy to be applied. The policy, the zoning ordinance, is already set forth pursuant to the City of Morganton's zoning ordinance. The board making the decision must apply those existing policies. The evidentiary hearing is to gather legally sufficient factual evidence to apply those standards to the application based upon competent material and substantial evidence in the record. At this time, I would ask my colleagues on the Board of Adjustment, having reviewed the materials provided to you in advance, whether there's any member that feels like he or she cannot sit tonight as an impartial decision maker in today's proceeding due to a conflict of interest. Anyone? The chair does not have a conflict either, and so we'll proceed, all five of us, accordingly with regard to the matter at hand. The order of business tonight for this hearing will be for the case as follows. First, the city official overseeing the Morganton Development and Design Services will provide an overview of the application. Board members, in turn, will have the opportunity to each ask questions they deem appropriate of the city official. Secondly, then we'll hear from the applicant, that's you, Ms. Sura, who will present evidence in support of your request and applications and answer any questions from any member of the board as well concerning any evidence you've presented. And then is there anyone else here tonight who expresses a desire to be heard by the board regarding the applications as I have described them heretofore? In the opinion of the board chair, I don't see anyone raising their hand. Is the board in agreement with me on that? All right, so I take that back. I do see two individuals who have raised their hand. So y'all want to be able to provide testimony for the board tonight? I suppose so, yeah. Okay. you'll be given that opportunity, and the board requests that you limit your remarks to the issues involving the application, and to speak for a maximum of 3 minutes. The board is not a policy-making body, as I've already said. Moreover, if another speaker ahead of you has already presented your position or points for the sake of efficiency, the board would appreciate you not being repetitious. So we're not here for a while. All persons who speak and participate will be placed under oath. Witnesses may choose to affirm, of course. If you want the board to see written evidence, such as reports and maps or exhibits, the witness who is familiar with the evidence should ask that it be introduced or at the end of his or her testimony. In addition, in order for the testimony to be considered as evidence, it can only be given by persons in attendance at the meeting, otherwise it's considered hearsay. So we're not going to accept statements by anyone that's not in the room tonight, just so everybody's clear about that. So I believe I've identified 4 individuals that will be giving testimony tonight. What I'd like to do for efficiency's sake is to invite all 4 individuals to please come forward. There is a Bible up here. You can place your left hand on the Bible, or you can affirm, but regardless, I'd ask you to raise your right hand for me. And so on behalf of Madam Clerk, I would ask you to swear or affirm that you intend to tell the truth tonight, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. If you agree with that, would you please say, I do?
I do.
All right, the board chair recognizes that all 4 witnesses have affirmed or taken the oath to tell the truth in their testimony. I now move forward with the public hearing regarding the application and ask for the testimony from the City of Morganton official overseeing the development and design services. If you would please state your full name and your position and proceed with your testimony on behalf of the city.
My name is Wendy Smith. I am the Director of Development and Design Services for the City of Morganton.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Please proceed.
You could bear with me one moment. The
course.
computer has timed out and I need to log back in so I can bring up some exhibits to show you. Okay. So tonight, the subject site is, okay, on the screen, is, excuse me, 184 Albert Tron Boulevard and 155 West Parker Road. It is our understanding that those will eventually be recombined into one lot that would retain the 184 Albert Tron Boulevard address. For centering for people here, this is I-40 along through here. This is exit 105. This is the Sonic Drive-In, and this is Longhorn Steakhouse. There are a variety of medical offices to the north of the property. There are directly across the street, across West Parker Road, are some apartments there, and then there are some single-family houses on either side. This aerial photo is from 2025, and it shows a single-family house here that there has been or has already been demolished on there, but I don't have an updated aerial. Apologies for that. So the proposal tonight, or the applicant rather, is proposing a hotel site on the property. This is a rough site plan of the site. So this is West Parker Road, excuse me, and this is Albert Tron Boulevard. Over here with a hotel to be set kind of long ways, with the longer portion of it towards West Parker Road and facing towards Longhorn. Any questions about the orientation of the hotel? That one, okay. So in order to develop the hotel, the applicant has asked for 4 variances to the zoning ordinance. The first one of those is that the zoning ordinance requires that the primary entrance be located facing the primary street frontage of the adjoining public street. In this instance, Albertron Boulevard is the larger, wider street, be carrying more traffic, would be considered the primary street frontage. If the hotel was oriented this way, you would be facing, as you can see here on this side, the City of Morganton's electrical substation at that property, which if you were on that street, looks like that. So the applicant has noted that this is an unusual circumstance given the limited number of large substations that the city or Duke Power would have around the municipality, and that would not be the best greeting for guests coming into the site. So they have asked for a variance to allow the frontage of the hotel to be on the long side of the building, which here in the image on the bottom, the entrance is over here on the right, and on this image, that would be on this section of the property. So you would enter the property from Albertron Boulevard, and you would circle through the portico share there for the entrance to the property. So they've asked for a variance to locating the frontage. That is the variance request for the first items that Mr. Ure mentioned, section 483A and section 4869A. Do you want to ask questions as I go, or do you want me to do each variance?
You know, I think for expediency, what I'd like to do is ask questions for each variance.
Okay.
Because I think that way we don't get confused. I'll get confused. I don't want to speak for my board. But why don't we start with this first variance? And Mr. Brenton, do you have any questions for Ms. Smith regarding the frontage issue?
It's clear to me.
Okay. And Mr. Carswell, how about you?
No question, Mr. Chairman.
All right. And Ms. Britt?
No.
Mr. Irvin? Nope. I do have a question for you. And I reckon on how to ask this question in an appropriate or fair way, but does the fact that there is an electrical substation that would be fronting, let's just say we complied with the policy of the zoning ordinance, where you'd have people having the ability to turn right into the hotel, and the frontage would be there in front of this. Is there concern about safety and the realization that you've got the public right there with that substation in the front of the hotel, as opposed to the hotel's frontage being repositioned as the applicant proposes?
I don't think there would be any safety concerns unless individuals were somehow enticed to cross the road onto the substation property with that. I think it's more of a matter, I'll let the applicant speak in more
Yeah.
detail of that,
I guess what I
Impressive.
was more interested in is if the frontage of the hotel was repositioned as the applicant proposes, does it draw less attention to the substation for the public than if the frontage of the hotel is right across the street from the substation?
yes, I would say that is accurate. That it would not be as attention drawing to the substation itself rather than the hotel.
All right. Ms. Smith, that's all the questions I have. Does anyone have any questions based on what I've asked? All right, let's move on to the second one.
So the second one is 4869B, in that the ordinance requires that a building with a gross floor area greater than 50,000 square feet to have 2 customer entrances on the primary facade. And the image that accompanies that in the ordinance is this one. As a planner, I think, and going off the images there, I think it is clear that the intent is that a Walmart, a Food Lion, a Lowe's Hardware, one single large store may be desirable to spread out the amount of customers that would have that volume to go in. It hasn't really anticipated a multi-story building that is making up that 50,000 square feet. Noting that it is a hotel, and Ms. Sura may want to speak more on that, there is some desirability to concentrate everyone going in and out past the front desk, past the lobby, entrance and the individual that would be stationed there and being well aware of who is entering and exiting. That is not the same concern with your typical commercial building.
All right. Ms. Smith, is that all you have for variance request number 2?
I'm just scanning that one. Yes, sir. That is a safety consideration, though, to make a point on your other question about limiting the number of entrances to the hotel.
Well, that was the question I was going to ask you, but I didn't
Okay.
want to get in front of my other board members. Mr. Britton, do you have any questions? Mr. Carswell?
No question, Mr. Chairman.
None.
There's got to be multiple exit points on the hotel for fire safety. It's
There-
got to meet fire safety requirements.
There would be multiple entry and exit points for emergency access. What the ordinance requires is a primary entrance that is articulated like a primary entrance that has additional features to entice people to come in and out of those, whereas the emergency exits, and I'm not saying there might not be a key card entrance to the pool side, et cetera,
Yeah.
that sort of thing for guests, or employees and guests, to be able to come in and out of. But the idea is when you get there, you know where to go, you know which entrance, and for the majority of the patrons, there is a clear viewpoint by the desk clerk of who's entering and exiting the hotel.
Right, and we'll get into that with Ms. Sir a bit, but Mr. Irvin, you asked the question I was going to follow up on. Just to clarify, there's going to be probably other emergency doors,
Yes, sir.
and we can get into that with Ms. Sura. That's all I have. Anybody else have any follow-up on anything that Mr. Irvin or I asked? All right, let's move on to number 3.
Okay. Number 3 is that the ordinance requires that at least 30% of the length of the first floor, which to clarify is the ground floor, to contain glazed area, and that secondary street facades to have at least 15% windows. So you're looking at the sides of the building that, sorry, this one? That face West Parker Road is supposed to be requiring to have 15% windows. On this image here, I will zoom in on the bottom. There is a request that have 10% windows. And if you can see, maybe clearer in your packet where there is a thicker red line, but this dotted red line here, if you can follow my cursor across the screen, is the level of West Parker Road. So if you were on West Parker Road, everything pretty much on the first floor is below grade of that. So the applicant has requested a place for the back of house facilities, the laundry, et cetera, on those facades to have a 10% windows instead of 15% windows. And with the first portions, we were discussing turning that front facade into the primary facade. So that side facade, the narrower facade, would not be applicable to those 30% requirements. It would be that front facade, which does meet the 30% requirements.
All right, thank you, Ms. Smith. Anything further you want to testify to regarding that variance before I ask the board members for questions?
I mean, I think the rest of it's covered in the report. There's no sidewalk on West Parker Road. There will be 5-foot wide planted landscape bed along that portion of the road that will further also screen that side of the building. And at this time, there is no access proposed to West Parker Road for the site. There is a fire truck access turnaround here, but there is no proposition to connect to that road due to the grade change from West Parker Road towards which the whole property slopes down towards the Longhorn site.
Okay. Mr. Britton, any questions from you?
No.
Mr. Carswell?
Just one for clarification. On the view from Parker Road, we saw from the left side to the right side, the windows on the right side are guest rooms, correct?
sir.
And there's no guest rooms to the left-hand side where the solid portion is gray.
That's correct.
Okay.
That is and I do have a floor plan of that I can zoom in on here.
You know how far below grade that was?
8 feet.
8 feet. Thank you, ma'am.
So the guest rooms are here on the, if you're facing the site, the right side. And then this is electrical, mechanical, break room,
Okay,
linen dryer, etc.
thank you.
Any questions?
No, sir.
I just want to make sure I'm clear in my mind, Ms. Smith, on what's proposed. So what I'll call the bottom floor of the hotel, there's going to be a portion there that's grayed out, and what the applicant's proposing to do is have the laundry facilities, et cetera, in that area. And that's 8 feet below grade.
Yes, sir.
I understand. Okay. I don't have any further questions. Let's move on to number 4.
Okay. So on item 4, 4868B, the ordinance requires that 25% of upper building walls to be windows. Again, the ordinance is written for commercial, for multifamily, for hotels, for all of those different types of site. The applicant is requested to replace, and I will zoom in on this site, a portion of what would be required to be windows, the glazing requirement, with shutters that give the appearance of closed windows, and it would reduce the percentages on the north side from 25%. This is just for the upper floors, the 3 floors, from 25% to 11%, and the window percentage on the south side, and it's the south side that you're looking at here, to 8%. That would give, all right, I'm just checking my notes. So on the north side, that gives the window shutters a percentage of 16%, and then 17% of the upper floors here on the south side. The ordinance typically states that false windows may not be used to satisfy the minimum glazing requirement. Therefore, they need you to vary that minimum glazing requirement to be able to meet that requirement in there. And the questions about the room, the applicant has presented some material in their application about room layouts, being a hotel. So if you look at these, say you look at what I've got drawn up here, pulled up here. On this side of the building, this is south, that's the east side of the building. And on the west side of the building, the upper floors are going to have windows. That's where your typical guest room window is. And it is then the side wall of that guest room that would not have windows. But every guest room has windows. It's a matter of whether the corner rooms have windows on both corners and how that may affect a standard hotel room layout. There may be more questions that you have for Ms. Hura for that.
Sorry, Ms. Smith, I'm just making a note.
Go for it.
All right. Is that all you have for variance number 4?
I can show you the floor plan layout that it is of the first floor. I'm not sure if that's a floor plan layout of all 4 floors above it, but I give an example of how a room is laid out. Come in the bathroom, there's the TV and the cabinets and things on this side, and then the bed and so forth on the opposite side with the windows on this portion.
Mm-hmm. All right. Mr. Britton, any questions? Ms.
No.
Carswell?
I have a question, but this might not be, I'll wait and ask her.
I understand. Ms. Britton? Sir?
This might be a side note for future conversations about our zoning laws and where are you getting the 25% rule? Like, what is that? Is that like a North Carolina building code requirement, or is that like
That
just
was an
was that made
ordinance
up back in the
requirement.
day when they made up the zoning requirements? Okay.
So when they discussed the zoning ordinance requirements for, that came into place on January 1st, 2015. That was included in the ordinance. My knowledge, it's not been updated since then. And the idea would be, you also want upper floors to have windows, but in a general commercial type district, it is typically, from a planning perspective, very important for the ground floors to have windows as people walk by and are interacting somewhat with that building, that they feel welcome, that they feel able to go into a commercial building in particular. And then, because these are for commercial building rules, they can apply to multifamily, but they don't have to. But as you go up, you don't have people walking by, so the percentage might be reduced, but you still want some percentage of windows. I cannot speak to exactly how they came to that 25% number.
All right, thank you.
That's a good question.
Mr. Irvin, do you have anything else?
No, sir.
All right, does anyone have any questions based on questions that have already been asked, Mr. Britton?
Can I come back?
You, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Fire escapes, are they interior steps coming down for fire escapes, or are they going to be on these end walls?
Interior.
Interior.
If you look at the, I can bring that up here. So on the, this is the south side of the building that faces Albert Tron, so the stairwell is there. And on the north side of the building, where the lobby and so forth is, and the pool on there, that is the stairwell and the elevator bank.
Is that on the
Interior to the
ins-
building.
where these shutters are going to be?
Yes, there would
Okay.
be some, well, I have to match it up here. But yes, there would, actually, the windows may be in the stairwell. Yes. The windows, so on this plan, the windows are in that stairwell. And then on this plan, that is the stairwell.
Okay.
The shutters are in the guest rooms, or
In-
on the walls where there would be guest rooms on the other side of the
Okay.
wall.
That's clear. Thank you, ma'am.
All right, any questions based on the questions that have been asked? In opinion of the chair, there aren't any. Ms. Smith, anything else?
No.
All right, thank you, Ms. Smith.
Thank you.
At this time, I would call up the applicant, Ms. Artie Sura.
I'm just going to show her where the images
course.
are here again. If you'd like to use mine.
Ms. Sura, if you'll please state your full,
I'm sorry.
if you'll
That's the floor plan and then the architecture.
If you'll please state your full, if you'll please state your full name for the board and the audience, and then your position with regard to the applicant, and then please feel free to continue with your testimony.
Okay, I'm Arthi Sora. I'm here representing Morganton Lodgings.
Welcome, Ms. Sura, and so please proceed.
Okay, great. Would you like me to address each one at a time? Is that the
I think let's
easiest?
proceed in the same manner we did before, and if you'll take them one at a time, and then the board can ask any questions of you regarding each variance request, and we'll proceed from there.
Okay, great.
So let's start with the number one, the frontage issue.
Yes, so on variance 1, we have requested to have our primary entrance on what is defined as a secondary wall of the building. The primary reason for this was the location of the electrical substation across the street from us on Albert Tron, and wanting to make sure we had a welcoming and inviting entrance to the hotel. So we wanted to really kind of rotate the hotel in a way to have our primary entrance away from that electrical substation. We also considered doing it on Parker, reverse, but because of the grade change, we were unable to do that.
Sorry, just making a note. Anything else regarding variance number one that you want to tell us? No. Any questions from you, Mr. Britton?
No,
Mr. Carswell?
no question, Mr. Chair.
Ms. Britton? Mr. Irvin?
Have you run into this with other development that you've run into where a frontage needed to be zoning issues, like the front of the building?
We have not with our other locations, primarily because we didn't have this across the street from us, but we haven't run into this before.
And then one follow-up question. Your primary reason to turn the building is this power station?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is also a secondary factor, which is that this is also the topography of the land is as such that it slopes completely down towards Longhorn. So this is also the flattest portion of the land to build on. So that also kind of was part of our intention in situating the building the way that we did.
Thank you.
Miss, are you done, Mr. Irvin?
Yes, sir.
Do you happen to know, I missed the grade on West Parker Road. Do you happen to know what that footage is? Or can tell us about the West
oh.
Parker Road grade?
I might have messed up your documents. I know that the road is 8 feet above where our building starts. Sorry, I think I've messed up the.
All right. We hadn't talked about this, but your parking spaces, they're going to be in the, as you position the building facing South Sterling Street,
Mhm.
is what you're proposing, that your parking spaces would be between, am I understanding correctly, they would be in between the hotel and Longhorn Steakhouse?
Correct.
I understand. All right. I think those are the only questions I have regarding the frontage issue. Any follow-up questions regarding variance number 1, Mr. Carswell?
One follow-up. Positioning the motel the way you want to now, would that make it more identifiable from Sterling Street than it would if it was turned over on Tron Street? Was that a factor in your decision?
It wasn't a factor in our decision. I don't know that it would make a difference. I'm trying to remember the ordinances on how high the sign can be.
Okay.
But it wasn't a factor in our decision.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Well, based on Mr. Carswell's question, I'd like to ask a question, follow up on that. Will you be able to, as you have thought about the design of your hotel, will you be able to see the hotel from South Sterling Street?
Yes, we do believe we will because of the topography of the land and us being located on the highest part of the land.
Okay. Any questions based on any of that? Anything further regarding variance number 1?
No.
Let's proceed to variance number 2, which according to my notes deals with the 2 entrances issue.
That's correct. So on this one, we are requesting a variance to have a single primary entrance. We will have multiple exits, so there will be key card access exits on every wall of all 4 walls of the building, or all 4 facades of the building. But we're requesting a single check-in entrance for a couple reasons. Just from the way you're working in a hotel, we want a check-in area where we can have all guests know where they're coming so they can see the front desk agent when they come in. And then it is also very useful for us from a guest security perspective to have eyes on everyone going in and out of the building.
Anything further, Ms. Sir, with regard to variance request number 2?
No.
All right, Mr. Britton.
No,
Ms. Carswell.
no questions.
Ms. Britton.
No.
Mr. Irvin. No, sir. Chair has no questions. Let's proceed to the number 3.
Okay, great. Number 3 was about the ground floor windows on the side facing West Parker.
Yeah.
So in that portion of the building, we are asking for a variance in order to house our back of house functions, primarily laundry in that area where we will have large machinery against that wall. And so we're requesting a variance to not have windows showing that large machinery through that wall. We will also, as it happens, because we are below grade, it will not show from the street. You will maybe see just the top foot or so of that bottom floor, but you'll mostly be looking at the second floor when you're facing the building standing on West Parker. So we're hoping that is, one, allows us to keep the back of house functions actually not as visible, whereas you may want other areas of the building more visible, and also is not an issue aesthetically from the street side.
Mr. Britton, any questions?
No.
Mr. Carswell?
No questions, sir.
Ms. Britton?
No questions.
Mr.
I got a question, sorry.
Sure, no problem.
So I understand that you don't want your back of house stuff to have light, uh, you know, building costs, et cetera. That's also facing single family residential. How much noise is the laundry? How much noise is that back wall that's gonna be holding most of your back of house stuff? What's that gonna be for Parker Road noise?
I don't think it'll be a major factor. Currently, if you're in any of our hotels, you don't hear more than a hum outside of those areas. But the other thing that we'll be benefiting from is because we are so far below grade, we're going to have a pretty large berm, which is going to further dampen noise for any of the neighbors.
Thank you.
I don't have any questions regarding that. Anybody have any follow-up questions?
Let me follow up.
Yes.
You are going to have shrubbery up on that road too, is that
Yes.
correct? And that would be a noise barrier?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
All right. Any further questions regarding variance number 3? All right, then, Ms. Sir, if you're prepared, let's move forward to variance number 4.
Okay, great. Variance number 4 is about the glazing requirements on the two short ends of the building, the north and south ends of the building. All of you have obviously been into a hotel room and you saw the image of the hotel room. The layout generally is you enter from the hallway, there's a door side, and then you have kind of, in this case, we're building really kind of a suites hotel. So you have bathroom, kitchenette, bedroom furniture, bed, and then a window towards the far end, which takes up most of that far end wall. And so as a result, on the long sides of the building, we have plenty of glazing because we have those large bedroom windows on each of the rooms. But on the shorter ends of the building, what you're getting is the sides of rooms. And because of the use case, one, because of the layout, we don't have space to put windows. But two, from a customer perspective, they also want fewer windows, if you can believe it, because mostly they're spending 90% of their time sleeping in the room. So they want everything blacked out and as dark as possible for customer satisfaction. So we were struggling a little bit with what do we do on the sides of the buildings, because we also understand that aesthetically glass looks nice and glazing looks nice, and that's an important thing for the city. The city does not allow the use of faux windows. We have used those in other hotels to handle this. So we have this solution of essentially what is a commercial shutter. It's a kind of an attractive metal look shutter that from the outside gives the appearance of a window, but doesn't actually, there will be no glass behind it. So it technically does not get the glazing requirement, but when you look at the shutters and the glass that is there in combination, we are particularly on the upper levels, then we meet the requirements if you consider the shutters part of the glazing calculation. We also tried to add as much glazing as possible. So typically there are not in the prototypes for this hotel any windows in the staircase and housekeeping. So we tried, we have a staircase column on both of those short sides of the building, as well as housekeeping storage rooms on both of those short sides, or on one of those short sides of the building rather. And so we've added glass windows that are as large as possible in both of those areas. And we also added extra glazing on the first floor of the pool side. So we have, a little bit more glazing there to try to compensate for that. But we think this will be a very attractive solution and kind of meet both the needs of the city in terms of making sure the building is attractive and inviting and has transparency, as well as the needs of the customer in, the reality of being in a hotel room.
Mr. Chairman, I failed to say that on page 16 of 21 of your appendix, there is an image of the proposed shutters.
Yes, ma'am. The Chair will take note that our application does include the picture of the shutter that was provided to members of the board ahead of time, and I did review that prior to the meeting. Ms. Sir, anything else regarding variance number 4 you'd like us to be aware of?
No, sir.
Mr. Britton, do you have any questions for the applicant regarding variance number 4? All right,
No
Ms.
questions,
Gardner,
Chairman.
okay, Ms. Britton.
So your application notes that you would have windows on 3 sides of a room, but I think that you were saying 2 sides. Is that correct?
So we really just have windows on one side of a room.
But the issue would be that you would need to have them on 2, not 3.
Oh,
Is that-
okay, yes.
Is that correct?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
that's correct.
Thank you.
Mr. Irvin, questions?
I'm just so confused why we have to put up fake windows when your variance is asking to not have windows, and I'm more frustrated with the city having that. but-
Mr. Irvin, I'd ask you to reserve those comments.
Sorry, sir.
That's all right.
Have you had to put these type of shutters on one of your buildings before to make it look more glossy?
No, we have not. When we built a hotel in Lenore, North Carolina, we did have to use some faux windows to meet their requirements, and those were permittable there.
Thank you.
Anything else, Mr. Irvin?
No, sir.
And any members of the board that would like to ask questions based on Mr. Irvin's question before I ask my questions? Ms. Sura, I just want to make sure I'm clear in my mind. The rule is 25%, right? And what you're proposing on the 2 sides is 11 and 8% of the wall space that would be windowed. Is that correct?
Yes, let me check on the, let me look if that's the average for the, I believe that sounds about right.
I believe that-
It's a little bit different for ground floor versus upper because of the glazing, but that sounds about right.
It's funny, my eyes just went right to it in your application, and I think you have the upper floor at 11% and the south side upper floor at 8%. Is what your application says. You agree with what your application says, I presume? Yeah. And so, all right. I think that's all I have. Any questions based on what I've asked? Ms. Sura, is there anything else that you would like to tell us regarding your application or any other information you would like to proffer to this board before we move forward?
No, we are excited to be here. Thank you.
All right. Okay, so at this time, if you'll just have a seat, we do have some members from the audience who have requested to speak regarding this matter. And if whichever one of you want to come up first, I'll leave it to you. All right, please come up and state your full name. And if you can share with us about where you live, and then proceed with sharing your information with us. Again, I would ask you to limit your comments to about 3 minutes. I'm not going to time you, but I may cut you off if it goes long.
Okay.
So if you'll please state your full name.
My name is Rita Russ.
And Ms. Russ, can you tell us where you reside?
I live at 168 West Parker Road.
Okay.
So I
please
am
proceed.
probably more impacted than anyone else in that area from the hotel.
Okay.
I'm not so naive to think that I could change the fact that we're going to get a hotel in my front door. But I would ask these people, everybody, the builder, everyone, to make it as less of an impact as possible. I've lived at this location for 42 years. I'm a retired nurse. I've seen all kinds of growth on West Parker. I've seen the substation come and promises made from the city that were made that they would put shrubbery around the substation, which never happened. And now I have Albertron Road, who comes straight up and bam, right there I am. Which clearly I don't care for that as well because it has created a lot of traffic. That whole area, that whole run of Albertron is not policed. There are people that get out there during the night and race their cars, and I have reported it to no avail. There are people that come down West Parker, and I'm sure my neighbor will attest to this as well. They do not keep it at the speed limit of 35. That is a total and complete joke. That whole road, West Parker, needs to be 25, and it needs to be monitored by the city police. It's dangerous. I'm concerned about security. And the only thing that I ask is that the hotel be positioned in a way that it has as least impact on me and my neighbors as humanly possible.
All right, thank you very much, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Anybody want to ask her a question on that? All right. And sir, you're welcome to come up. If you'll please state your name.
My name is Stephen Hawkins. I live at 144 West Parker Road, which is diagonally to the northwest from the lot 155 West Parker Road, and probably within 100 foot of the property there. So, and I'm not anti-development. If anybody lives on Parker Road, might as well expect for it to be developed because of where it's located at. But of course, being a residential area there, I'm concerned more about noise, which Mr. Irvin mentioned, and with traffic, of course. And if I think the only thing that I would be interested in or concerned about is in the variance request number 1. When they put the site plan picture up, it seemed to be that the hotel was shifted very much towards West Parker Road there. And I don't know, I do know, I got some paperwork that West Parker Road has a 60-foot right-of-way, which is 30 foot each side of center line, which was granted about 1960 to some of the previous owners. And I was wondering too, if whenever this site plan was drawn up, if they took, I didn't find out what HD building setbacks were. I'm sure, I know there's some setbacks there, which would be from the 30-foot back. And I'm like Miss Russ, I think the further that, for she and I, the further we can get this thing moved away from West Parker Road, the quieter it's gonna be. From the testimony I've heard, it seems like most of the equipment, HVAC equipment, laundries and stuff are gonna be at the back of the building, which is gonna be facing us and our street. So, and if you live on West Parker Road, you're gonna know if you stay there long that we live in a very noisy area already. Is that not right? It's about as noisy as any place around Burke County as far as I know. And so, you know, I think that noise is one concern. Traffic, I know in the testimony that I heard that there was no entrances into the building from West Parker Road, is what I understood from the testimony earlier. So, of course, that would help us as far as traffic on our street. We get a good bit of cut through traffic because of the doctor's office is located on East Parker Road. And so we just kind of want to keep that at arm's length if we can. But I know I was aware of this hotel that was going to be there back in the News Herald, the March 22nd News Herald of 2025. They had an article about it, and in the article, the person who did the
Mr. Hawkins, let me interrupt you. Don't cite the article or don't read from the article if you don't mind.
I won't.
Caution you to do that.
I just wanted to summarize that. It said that they were talking about subdividing, putting the hotel there and subdividing the property to be able to have a sale, you know, a lot for their hotel plus a lot to sell. And I don't know if that's still in the plans or not, but I'm kind of curious if maybe that has something to do with them pushing the hotel up higher up on West Parker Road so they can get more land area down near the Longhorn Steakhouse for future development of something else. You know,
Ms. Hawkins, if you can move accordingly with regard to the 4 items in the application, that would help us. I'm gonna give you a little more time, but if you'll, move apace, I'd be appreciative.
Okay, well, I think that's probably the only thing that I have right there is just that, building setbacks be enforced to keep this thing a little bit further away from West Parker Road.
And
which
Mr. Hawkins, let me just interrupt you and make sure you're clear that setback issues in the zoning ordinance is not before the board tonight in terms of seeking any type of variance. That's not an issue before us tonight. Setback restrictions, just so you understand that.
But as long as the building is turned to where it satisfies the setback.
Yes, sir, but that's not an issue for us to decide tonight, just so you're clear.
Okay, so, but I think then that that's probably all that I need then
Okay,
to say to you then.
all
So,
right. Thank you, Mr. Hawkins.
Sure.
Very much appreciate that. All right, if you'll just have a seat and we'll move at this point into the deliberation phase for the Board of Adjustment. I don't believe there's anybody else who wants to speak in the audience. All right, so at this point in time, we'll take up the 4 variance requests. And I would ask any member of the board whether or not you want to take out one variance application and set it aside, or 2 or 3, or if you're agreeable with us moving with all 4 and talking about all 4 together. Any objection in doing that? All right, if that's the case, I'll turn to you, Mr. Britton, for any comments you might have before we take a vote. Any comments regarding the 4 applications for variances?
No, I've looked at them and I'm pretty well knowledge of what's going on.
Okay, all right. And Mr. Carswell, how about you? Any comments you have regarding the applications?
No comments, Mr. Chair.
All right, Ms. Britton?
I guess I'd just say that I think that they've done a good job of trying to position it to have the least impact to the residential neighbors. And I do appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you. Mr. Irvin?
No, sir.
All right. The chair would just make comments to my fellow board members with regard to the 4 applications, and just it occurs to me that even the residents, and I do appreciate the residents coming tonight and appearing before us, but I think they even indicated that positioning the hotel in such a way that the parking and the large majority of the people that are going to be at the hotel would be out in front of that hotel, positioned such that it's facing South Sterling Street, away from West Parker Road, would certainly benefit the residents from congestion. I do have concerns about our public coming to a hotel and having the choice about entering a hotel, and right across the street would be a substation. It seems to me moving the hotel in such a way that it takes away the focus from the substation is a safety issue, aside from it just being unsightly. And then I do think that the evidence we heard tonight was impactful to me, that having multiple entrances for a hotel can be concerning from a security standpoint. Having one central location makes a lot of sense. We got clarification tonight that, of course, there'll be key-carded exits for the pool, et cetera, but to have that central entrance makes a lot of sense from a safety standpoint. And then with regard to the ground floor windows issue and the backup housekeeping functioning with the laundry and that sort of thing, that does seem to be 8 feet below grade level, and would not make sense to require windows there. And so the request to reduce the number of windows makes sense there. And then with regard to those upper floors, the 25% upper floor requirement for windows when considering sidewalls and corner window requirements for upper floors doesn't make sense and in my view would create a hardship for the applicant. And so I would support all 4 variances being approved, but certainly at this point in time would seek a motion from the board with regard to the variances as we take them up all together, as we've agreed to do. Is there a motion to approve the variance as applied for?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve all 4 variances.
All right, motion's been made to approve all 4 variances. Is there a second?
I second it.
All right, the motion's been made and seconded, and in our findings of fact, Madam Clerk, as we take up this vote, I would ask that your motion agree to include the findings of fact that I related with regard to security for the frontage and the 2 entrances, and then also that the requirement for the laundry to have windows and the upper floors, the 25% presents a hardship. Do you agree with that, Mr. Carswell, Mr. Britton?
I do.
Yeah.
All right. So that's part of their motion in terms of the findings of fact that have been presented to us tonight. At this point, any further discussion on the motion on the floor? Given the fact that this is a variance and does require a 4/5 vote, I am going to ask each board member to register your vote as I call on you by a yay or nay. Mr. Britton, I'll go to you first. Do you agree to approve the variances, all 4 of them?
I do.
Mr. Carswell?
Yay.
Ms. Britton?
Yes.
Mr. Urban?
Yay.
And the chair joins to make it unanimous. And Madam Clerk, if you'll record that the vote was unanimous tonight for the approval. I do want to take a point of privilege and commend y'all who reside there on West Parker Road, and thank you for coming in tonight. I'm mindful that that area is becoming busier and busier, and I think the city of Morganton cares deeply about the safety and security of our citizens. I believe that. I'm a citizen of this city, and I think that's the case. In the same breath, I do think that this applicant for the hotel complex is going to be committed to making sure that noise gets reduced as much as possible, and that the public that comes there will be in such a way that that building will be between y'all and the public. So to the best we can, limit that amount of noise. But I just want to thank you for coming. We don't have many folks usually do that, and so I really appreciate your willingness to voice your opinions. It was noted. Any other business for the Board of Adjustment tonight from the members of the board? In the opinion of the chair, I hear none, and therefore, by acclamation, I'm going to order us adjourned.